Hold up, why do they doubt the kid? I'm about to prove them all wrong again. I got a low tolerance, cause they don't even know what the problem is. It's me. You waiting on the boy to fail, then hold your breath and face your death. Cause you play the roulette with each step I progress, no less. Go ahead and place your bet.
Welcome back, y'all. This is the Double M Sports Podcast. I'm your host, Jesus Dinero. Here with my co-host,
Puma El Gato.
What do we got going on tonight, my man?
We're talking about the main event for UFC 319 for the middleweight championship. Dricus Du Plessis versus Khamzat Chimaev. Let's talk about it.
So we have an interesting fight on our hand. Both of these dudes bring kind of unique styles and a little bit of difference in each one of them. DDP, man, what can we say about the dude? The dude is awkward as hell. If there was ever an awkward fighter in any sport, DDP is that guy. If you watch some of the highlights of DDP, you would see the odd, strange behavior that this man has towards attacking in a variety of different ways, the weird takedowns, the weird way that he strikes, so on and so forth. And in Khamzat, we have someone who is constantly going to come at you. Good wrestling, very, very good wrestling, very aggressive, and so on. Here's my take on this. So listen, as far as the striking, obviously we're going to give that to DDP. That being said, it's weird because people like DDP beat people like Adesanya. I consider Adesanya an elite striker, but I don't consider DDP an elite striker. I know it's weird to have that, but this math just doesn't add up in my mind. Don't get me wrong, I'm not saying DDP is not a good striker. He is. It's just because of his awkwardness, I just don't consider it elite. When I think about elite, I think about defined, about a fine point on a knife, something that's so pinpointed that you could see it replicated over and over. You know, how many kicks did Anderson Silva throw? How many direct punches did Israel Adesanya? The perfect hook from Pereira. These things are things that they have they repeat in their repertoire, and that's why I consider some of these guys elite strikers. I don't see that in DDP. What I do see is awkward fighting style, and he's good at it. Don't get me wrong, but to call it elite, I don't know. It's not what I would consider elite. But I would definitely give DDP the striking advantage in this fight. Obviously, Khamzat's going to have the wrestling advantage. So it's basically one of the classic fights of a wrestler versus a boxer, a striker, whatever you want to call him. Here's the thing. In the fight that we saw with Khamzat versus
Robert Whittaker.
No, not Robert Whittaker, but with Kamaru Usman, when he faced another person who's an elite wrestler, even Khamzat admitted it. I could not get this man down. When he faced someone who has more of a striking background like he did a Robert Whittaker, he got the job done, and he got the job done fast. Now, don't get me wrong, I've said this, when it comes to the fight game, Robert Whittaker is long in the tooth, and what I mean by that is not necessarily just that he's old, but because of the repeated damage he's taken over the years, it shaves a little bit off your career more and more, so he's got a lot of wear on that armor. Whereas Dricus Du Plessis doesn't have as much wear on that armor. Not to say he hasn't gotten hit or struck, blah, 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 but he just hasn't got as much of that as a Robert Whittaker. So I think that Khamzat can absolutely go in there, wrestle the crap out of somebody like DDP, and potentially win. But I'm not going to lie, the weird, awkward ways in which DDP wrestles, gets up, takes down, strikes, makes it difficult for me to just say, I think Khamzat's going to go in there and wrestle the crap out of him. That's going to be the end of it. I think people like to make too much of Khamzat's gas tank. I don't think it's elite. Not like people think it's elite. Does he have a good gas tank? Sure, but is it that phenomenal? No. Now, if Khamzat leans on DDP, first 2-3 rounds, I think the longer it goes, the more likely it's going to be a Khamzat win. I think if there's ever a really good chance for a DDP to get it done, he needs to get it done in the first couple rounds, which I don't think is going to happen with Khamzat. But, you never know. You never really know. Can it potentially happen? Sure. I just don't see it happening. If I have to pick somebody, I'm not going to lie. I'm actually going to pick Khamzat. I think DDP has the weird awkwardness to be able to win. I just don't think he's going to. I think it's going to be a Khamzat win by smothering, by constant smothering, by repeated smothering, and I think DDP's not going to make it easy for the first couple rounds, but eventually Khamzat's going to wear him down and wear him down and wear him down in that gas tank, and he's just not going to have enough to be able to get out of there. I know that obviously, DDP has faced some interesting individuals before, but as someone as good of a wrestler as Khamzat, I don't think so. Obviously, he's faced Adesanya. He's faced Sean Strickland. Sorry, I couldn't think of his name. Sean Strickland, so on and so forth. But these are striking guys. These aren't wrestling guys. So I think I'm going to pick Khamzat to win, even though I'm not lying. My wallet probably says I should probably pick DDP because I'm not going to lie. I was surprised he beat Adesanya, but he did. He beat him. So yeah, man, it'll be interesting. But I guess for my official pick, I'm going to begrudgingly pick Khamzat to win by decision more than likely. What do you think about that, my man?
Everybody wants to make the constant joke about DDP by Toon Logic, DDP by the grace of God, DDP by plot armor. I know we like to say all of that. And to be fair, I do think there is something to be said about DDP somehow with a very, I wouldn't even say unorthodox style, because that implies that there's a plan behind that. I do think I would describe DDP's fight style as, and this is going to sound really weird, offbeat. And I think that's a little bit more accurate to say as opposed to unorthodox, because unorthodox means that it's a different way of fighting, whereas DDP, I just don't think, weirdly enough, fighting comes naturally and also unnaturally to him at the same time. That's why we have a bunch of memes about the stuff that he was using against Adesanya and Sean Strickland, for an example, where he kind of wrestles and he does get takedowns, but it doesn't look like it almost looks like he takes him down on accident and as a consequence of what he was actually trying to do in the first place. So I do think he's weirdly unskillfully but also skilled at the same time. So I do think there's something to be said about DDP's skill going to this matchup. I do think he's competent, but I do think in the grand scheme of things, this is what I think is going to happen. I think Khamzat has all the skills to take it until after round 3. I do think he's going to try and rush down DDP with a try and take him down, grapple him down. And I do think DDP is going to hold him off just long enough after the 3rd round, where at that point his Khamzat's gas tank is basically going to be completely spent at that point, which I don't necessarily think it's going to be as a result of DDP fighting him off and using that as a game plan. I don't think he's intending for that to be his game plan whatsoever. I do think Khamzat's game plan is to get this done as quickly and as expertly as he can, and I don't think he's going to pull through it all the way, and it's going to cause him to get tired in the later rounds, where I think DDP is going to take the advantage. I'll even go as far as to say I think it's going to be a UD decision by DDP, but again, it's really not more out of DDP being the better fighter, better wrestler than Khamzat, more so that Khamzat's going to spend all of his energy and it's going to be a completely lost fight by that point. More so, DDP is going to win, and really enough, kind of by plot armor, by his other fighter basically doing the wrong thing and basically expending all their gas and energy into trying to secure a win, and it just completely flew it out of their hands. That's what I think is going to happen.
That's an interesting decision, I guess. But listen, man, DDP is clearly an interesting guy, man. The way that he does everything is awkward as hell. So that I will take that awkward way of saying he's gonna win as your decision. I think Khamzat's gonna do it. I think Khamzat will pull it off again by decision. I think it is gonna go the full 5 rounds, and I think maybe even controversially, man. Maybe even controversially, because again, there's a lot of people that truly back DDP, and I think it could even be a controversial decision, but I do think it's going to be Khamzat in the end that's going to pull it off. Listen, man, I wouldn't be surprised at either one of these dudes winning. Again, the only reason I'm giving DDP as much leeway as I am is because, again, man, the dude's awkward. And it's weird to be able to pinpoint a particular set of game, a particular set of tools on dudes that are awkward fighters. Happens in boxing all the time where people can't just place one thing. But you say, but the combination of all the weird, awkward things that he does together, that's why I'm picking this guy. So yeah, DDP is definitely an awkward guy, awkward fighter, awkward wrestler. If you want to call him a wrestler, he's not a wrestler. But the things that he does them just so awkwardly enough to where it can pull it together and get that dub. So it'll be interesting to see what happens on the night. Make sure you guys watch the fight. It's going to be interesting to see what happens. And there's a number of things, obviously, that have come out of it. Questions about if Khamzat wins, is the division kind of doomed? Or if DDP wins, who does he fight next? Things like that. Things of that nature. But we'll see, man. It'll be interesting. Definitely a good fight to watch. And with that, make sure to like, comment, hate, subscribe, DM us about the bullshit. And
Until next time, get rest and stay blessed. We'll see you in the next one.